When I was a child, all I wanted to be was an adult. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to grow up. I didn't want to be a child. So when anyone would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would always think, I just want to grow up. And I didn't want to be a child because I didn't like myself. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like being me. I felt very anxious. I remember one particular time when I was in my grandparents' house, and I was very close to my grandfather, and I remember sitting at the kitchen table with him, and my grandmother was making the tea or whatever it was she was making, and we were sitting waiting and chatting and talking, and it was very much accepted within our family, extended family and family by that time, that, well, you know, one sibling was going to be an architect and the other sibling was going to be a barrister, and there was no real talk about me, and I wanted to go to university. That was what I wanted to do. That was my dream. I wanted to go to university, and I remember saying that at the table. I remember saying that that I'm going to go to university, and my grandmother said, no, you're gonna stay at home. You're gonna stay at home, and you're gonna have a family, and that was sort of accepted as to what I was going to do. And I remember looking at my grandfather, and he was looking at me and I was looking at him, and there was very much an acknowledgement of, well, I'm going to show her. When I was young, it was, although I had this difficulty with reading out loud, and yes, you know, I didn't understand every word, but I still loved books. I absolutely loved books, and I was really able to lose myself in those books. I suppose one of the most significant times of my early academic journey was when I was about 11 years old, and it was time to do my 11 plus. And there was the option of whether you could do it or not do it. And I wanted to. I wanted to try. I wanted to give it a go. And I remember sitting at the table with the private tutor, and just, you know, the numbers swam and there was nothing going in, and so I told my mum that I didn't want to do it anymore, and she was probably relieved, but also then I had to go into school and tell the headmaster. And I remember telling the headmaster, and I didn't particularly want to tell the headmaster because I knew he didn't want me to do it. And when I told him, he smiled and he was happy. I think that was because it wasn't going to reflect badly on the school. But I never forgot that feeling that he was glad that I didn't do it. He was glad that I didn't want to do it, because it was like I felt once again I was the stupid one, and I'd let myself down, and I wasn't proving anything to anyone, and so that added to the anger and frustration that I had building in me. The decision was made to hold me back a year, which meant that all my friends went on to secondary school and I stayed back. I didn't understand, and it wasn't completely explained to me why I was being held back. There were various reasons, but I felt the injustice of the situation. It wasn't fair. I felt it was very, very unfair. And so I decided that, well, if that's the way you're going to treat me, if that's the way that you're going to treat me like I'm stupid, well, I'm going to act like I'm stupid. And so I just completely shut down for that year. So that was 1 year lost of education, because I didn't misbehave, but I didn't really participate in the education. I didn't try. I decided that I was out for that one, and that was my way of getting them back for holding me back. And then the following year, I went on to the secondary school, but I was a year behind all my friends. And so again, I just decided, that's it. I'm not going to do any work. I'm not going to. So I lost 2 years of education because I was held back. And that's why I don't really support holding kids back, because I don't think it helps in any way, bar there's extenuating circumstances. So that was a really tough few years for me at that stage, in that I was angry, I was resentful at everybody and anybody, and especially at myself, because I felt it was all my own fault, because I wasn't as smart as everybody else. There was something really beautiful that happened, and that was that I found what I was good at, and that was I had, as they say in Ireland, I had a good hand, and that was that I was able to have a good connection with horses. And there were some horses locally and within the family that I was in contact with quite a lot around that time in my life, and that's when I started to realise that I was good at something, and it came very naturally to me. And it was something that I still love today, obviously, but within me, I started to feel a little bit better about myself. So there was different parts of my day, and that would be like in school, completely not wanting to participate and rejecting education. And then there was the me that was in the evenings, cleaning and mucking out and cleaning, the horses, and cleaning all the things, the saddles and the bridles, and being with the horses. And those horses, as silly as it may sound, those horses didn't judge me. One day I was leaving my English class, and Mr. McKeown, my English teacher, he stopped me, and he started to shout at me, and started to tell me that, that if I tried a bit harder, I could get really good results in my GCSEs. And I said to him, like, me? And he said, yes, you've got the best grades in English from you came to this school in your class. Imagine if you tried, what types of grades you'd get. So that helped me to get a little bit closer to maybe going to university isn't just this dream. Maybe it is something that can actually achieve. And I got into university, and it was the university that I wanted to go to, and it was the degree I wanted to study. in the first few months I had a great time, but then after that I realized I'm going to have to really work hard in order to stay here. And it was in the very early part of my second year, that actually my worst nightmare was realized. And my English professor, one of my English professors, called me into her office, and basically she just berated me about not working hard enough, and what I was trying to explain to her was, but I really am working hard enough. And then she said the one thing that I had been dreading that anyone was going to say to me, and that was, you don't belong here. And it was very, very shortly afterwards that another English professor called me into his office, and I just, at that stage, I thought, this is it, I'm out. And he started to talk to me about my grades, and I broke down and was crying, and told him everything that had happened, told him the conversation with the other professor, and told him and explained to him what I was doing, that I was studying hard. I just couldn't get the ideas that I had here down on paper, and I didn't understand why everybody else could see what I couldn't see, or that everybody else could express themselves in this particular way in writing that I just couldn't seem to get across. And at that stage, he said to me, maybe you should go and get assessed for dyslexia. I suddenly realized that I was able to do all the things that I wanted to do. There was no reason why I couldn't do all the things that I wanted to do. And one of the things that I always wanted to do, and that my dad had always encouraged me to do, was to travel and see the world. And that's what I started to do. Started to backpack around Europe and different countries, quite extensively, and I did a lot of it on my own, and I did it on my own because I realized that I could, and that I didn't need anyone else to be able to achieve my dreams. And my dreams were to get out there, see the world, achieve what I wanted to professionally, but also what I wanted to achieve personally. And I'll always be grateful to my dad for encouraging me to travel, and also to see the world and to learn languages. As I'd left university, I felt quite empowered by my dyslexia, and so I was very vocal about it. And even becoming a teacher, I continued to be very vocal about it, because I wanted to help kids. I wanted to be able to show kids that, well, if I can do it, you can do it, but it became very obvious early on that wasn't acceptable within the education sector, and that I had to, in fact, go back to hiding my dyslexia, or feeling embarrassed about it or ashamed about it. And I don't think anyone wanted me to feel that way. That's not what I'm saying. But there is a certain amount of don't say anything about it, because maybe the parents will think that you're not fit to do the job. Your colleagues might think you're not fit to do the job. Andy, well done. What was this one? Which one is this one? So I studied and became a dyslexia specialist teacher with the British Association of Dyslexia, and continue to be today. And I was teaching in some of the universities, the local universities here, but there was always that feeling of, no, you're missing the mark. You're not quite there yet. That's when I founded Empowering Creative Minds. And I founded Empowering Creative Minds because I want to make sure that no kids drop through the cracks anymore. I want to make sure that no kids go through the same journey as I went through, whether they be monolingual or bilingual or trilingual or any other plurilingual. I want to make sure that those kids are identified early on for whatever neurodiverse difference they may have or be, and that they get the help that they need, because that's the most important. They get the help that they need. So Empowering Creative Minds, I'm building out a team of specialists, people who are specifically specialised in different areas of neurodiverse differences. So I'm primarily dyslexia, although I can't help myself. I like to continue to study. So I just finished a course on autism, and also I'm doing my PhD in dyslexia and linguistics. So we're building out a team. For example, we have someone who is a fantastic teacher, a fantastic educator in general, and specialised in dyscalculia, but also within the international sector. So we're always looking at multilingual schools or plurilingual schools, or where kids are learning through an additional language. So we have dyscalculia specialist who is very experienced in that particular area, speech and language therapist, again very experienced in that particular area, and so on. And so we're growing out that team so that we have every aspect covered, so that we can really help, support, and bring about a change in the culture of all those international schools that or private British schools that have students who are learning through their additional language. To be honest, I'm still faced with all those challenges on a daily basis, because I'm still neurodiverse. So I'm still challenged all the time, and I still struggle with my self-esteem. But I also recognize all of the strengths that I have, and one of those being sheer determination. And I see them now as both the challenges and the strengths as being a blessing in my life, because they have made me who I am. And now I can use that journey to help other people who are just like me, or the parents of other people who are just like me. So I grew up and I became that adult, and now I actually like the person that God made me.